Hey, what's up, guys? Just wanted to kind of touch on this. I know it's really early in the case, and I know that it is celebrity drama, but it just seems to be a very low hanging fruit in terms of red pill lessons and things we can learn and kind of just think about that really kind of display women's behavior and men's behavior too. Albeit it's not, it's kind of a tragic um, court case, but at the same time, there is nuances here that could help us maybe understand intersexual dynamics a little better. And I won't make this too long because it is the work day and you guys have things to do and all that stuff. So, all right. So essentially, it's right now it's day three, but yesterday, day two, a lot of details got revealed about uh, Diddy and his freak offs and what he's on the hook for and all that stuff. I don't know all the details of the case. I just going to discuss the relationship that Diddy or Sean Puffy Combs, whatever his real name is, has with Cassie Ventura, and how what are the kind of like the good nuggets of information that we can extrapolate from this, right? So essentially, Diddy would do these parties that were pretty crazy, salacious, just gross parties where he would invite male escorts and he would invite you know just people to have a freaky orgy, with lots of boy whatever. I'm not gonna spare you guys the details. Go ahead and look it up on Google, whatever. It's pretty gross. But despite all these things, right? Uh, whenever there's a situation where it's like a woman is subjected to these acts, right? We kind of forget that women have agency and women can choose to do things and not do things. Can they be coerced? Yes, just like men, we can be coerced to do things. Can can women feel forced or threatened to do things? Of course, yeah. But at the same time, a lot of men have gone to prison despite being coerced to do things, or fearing for their life to do things, because women and men have a separate standard of justice, right? And yeah, and we're gonna get to that X runner in a second here. But the issue here, the big overarching theme I see about this case and who's at fault, who's not, who participated, who didn't, right, is that female agency is something that society and men and even us men on an individual level will always struggle with. We want to deeply believe that women are these pure angelic creatures. It's beat within us, right? One moment. We want to believe um, that women are these pure creatures, that they can't do any harm, that they're always right, that the world happens to them and not the other way around. Was there a time where the world happened to women and they were the ones that needed help in rescuing from things that weren't our fault? Of course, right? I would say most of humanity, humanity's history, because they are the weaker sex, or at least the vulnerable sex, meaning that they get pregnant, they have kids, they have all these things that make them less likely to survive out in the world, whether it be hunting, at war, or in the middle of the night where there's bandits, attackers, whatever. Got it. Cool. We understand basic biology. But in this instance, in this period of humanity, women have never had so much power and so much agency ever. And we as men were struggling. And we don't know what to do with this amount of female agency and how to deal with it. We're stuck. We don't know where to go with this. Some of us are like, hold them accountable to the same level as men. And we're just like, how? Right? It's tough because on a biological level, even seeing a woman crying will soften you up as a man. You're biologically designed to want to solve a woman's problems when they're crying. It is within your biology, your DNA, right? It takes a concerted effort to look at uh, a woman that's in distress and ignore it. It is like you need to, it's like something you need to train or take time to like get over right in the moment. So it's not easy, guys. Like it's not something that we could just say, oh, like just hold women accountable. It's not. Also, with what power are we going to hold women accountable? I'm just one regular guy, and you're just a regular guy. Even the women we're in relationships with, whether it be our mothers or sisters, even our daughters, our girlfriends or wives, coworkers, neighbors, friends. How do we hold them accountable to do things? We can't, right? Women, they're human beings and they have agency. And I think most guys, even the guys that are more, leaning towards uh, our perspective here, they also are just like, yeah, I can't control women. Just, they say things like, oh, she's for the streets, or, they, painfully repeat the phrase, she's not yours, it's just your turn, all that stuff. But ultimately, um, we don't have much power here. Oh, sorry, someone's calling me. We don't have much power here, right? We simply have to let women do what they're gonna do. But the issue here is that I think a lot of men are mad because they still feel like they got to clean up messes that women make, and that's where I'm here to tell you don't. Right? At the end of the day, women will muck up things, men will muck up things, and you will have to clean up messes of other people. But you don't have to. It is always a choice. So if you tell your girl, hey, don't go on this trip to this dangerous country or this dangerous city and get drunk and be impaired, you know, and go out to party with your friends that don't really care about you, that are also irresponsible and are not going to make sure you get home safe. And they do it anyway. And then something bad happens to your girl, right? You don't have to deal with that. You can just hang up the phone, call her family and be like, hey, I told her not to do this. She did it. I don't care anymore. It's your problem, right? You can do that. The only thing is that your guilt and the shame that that's been programmed into you have told you that you need to solve women's problems, no matter how bad they are. So, court cases like this or events like this, where from the get go, we are, sorry, women at large. Let me silence my phone. This is getting ridiculous. Women overall are going to defend Cassie Ventura, right? Got it, and I expect them to. And men are going to kind of question, hey, like, why was she there in the first place? And then we don't want to make assumptions about who's wrong and who's right, right? It's looking like Diddy is probably a monster right now, right? But I get that. But here's the thing: in these interviews where they brought other people to testify, um, the overall gist was that Cassie wanted to do these things. She would ask escorts and stuff like that, hey, do this nasty act. Which, if it was between two people that love each other or like each other at least, it would be like, hey, yeah, they're just freaks. Like, cool. All of us here in the chat, we've done freaky stuff with girls that liked us. No big deal. But since the premise was not a good premise to do those things in, right? So here we are. We're a woman who I used to have a crush on when I was in college has been exposed as doing these things voluntarily so far, right? It's day 3. We don't know. This is going to be a long trial. Who knows, right? Day 3 of the trial, and so far it's looking like this woman spent all her 20s participating in hundreds of these freak offs, right? And just going with the flow. Now, women are going to say, well, she was under duress. She was forced to. She was threatened, whatever, blah, 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 right? And men will say, well, a lot of people that have been threatened to do the wrong thing still go to jail. So why is she all of a sudden absolved, right? And that's what I'm saying here, guys. This is the red pill lesson, is that This is how women's agency works. We can complain about it, we can be angry about it, we can say, wow, that's terrible. But remember, it is all of the authority with none of the responsibility. That is feminism. Which is based on women's agency when it benefits them and no agency when it doesn't benefit them. Right? I'm pretty sure I said that right. So ultimately, when you go down this path of trying to figure out who's at fault here and all that stuff, even in front of the eyes of the law, even a court case that the whole world is watching, um, people will still say, "Well, what poor girl? Like, how could she deal with this? And how, she's a victim. She's strong. She's brave. Her now husband is brave and strong, and all these things, right? But the truth is, guys, is that she participated, right? She was in there doing the thing. She was an adult, and there's nothing you can do about women's agency, right? But you don't have to feel the consequences of women, unless you're forced to, right? Unless you're legally forced to, or financially forced to, whatever, right? No one wants other people to suffer. I don't wake up and saying, I gotcha. Like, I don't want anyone to suffer. I don't want anyone to have to go through things that are senseless and dumb. But at the same time, if you do something dumb repeatedly over years and bad things happen after that, then what do you expect me to what do you expect me to do? Right? It really is men versus women. This is a very divisive case because men, we're tired of women's lack of accountability, even though there's nothing we can do about it, right? But we're tired in our jobs, in our love lives, in our family lives, whatever. We're tired of women just glossing over the bad stuff they do to us and to others. And women are just tired of men and our standards for them, right? They're like, well, I'm tired. I have all these things. Why can't men just whatever? And we're never going to see eye to eye. Right now, we're not seeing eye to eye on this stuff. And this case is a reflection of that, right? You have a guy who's like basically a monster, who's a terrible person, and a woman that stood by this monster. And it's that age old joke that if what's her name? A certain Austrian painter's wife, forgot her name. If her and Anne Frank survived and met each other, they would they would start a podcast talking about how bad the Austrian painter was and the whole experience, even though both women were on different sides, right? Lila Rose, Lila Rose, instead of like finding ways to legally prosecute women, because she's a big anti-abortion advocate, right? Instead of finding ways to legally, um, you know, legally, what's the word? Man, I'm out of. Sorry, guys, I'm on a lot of meds right now. Legally process, whatever. Get have women pay the price for you know doing an abortion, getting an abortion. Instead, she sits down with women and tries to understand them, right? And it's all the same thing, right? Women will always do this, right? She took the money, she took millions of dollars to be quiet, right? Maybe she could have saved other people's lives. Maybe she could have stopped this earlier if she just would have walked out maybe a year in and be like, "Hey, sorry, I'm abused," and but no, she did it for years. And now that this is happening, her her kids and family are affected forever, right? Her legacy. And we'll forget about it. The internet has short memory, right? We're very easily distracted. But, she won't. She has to live with that every day. And this is what I'm saying, guys. This is why um we need to really figure out what we're going to do with this hyper agency that women have. And you know, we can't be losing sleep over this. We got things to do. For the guys that want to hold women accountable, for the guys that want to like kind of shame women and all that stuff, just know they don't care, right? There is no morality. Women don't care about morality, right? They care about what benefits them in the moment. Right now, when Cassie was with this man and doing all these crazy things, that benefited her in the moment, right? I know it didn't make sense to us. I don't think it benefited her in the moment, but to her and her perspective, remember, this is her decision. She is a human being with the ability to make decisions, right? She thought this is the best for me right now. I'm with one of the most powerful men in the music industry, if not the most powerful, it seems like. Um, I will, you know, I will stay here. Sorry. Now that everything's over, what benefits her is settling down, having a family, right? And she got it. That benefited her. So let's start thinking about that, right? There is no morality, there is no right and wrong. Even if women do wrong things, there will always be somebody to forgive her and be like, "Hey, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that you dealt with this and all that stuff." Um, and realize too, guys, that you will not get the same treatment if you do something dumb, right? Then people will say, "Well, what were you thinking as a man?" Right? Have you guys seen these podcasts where the men say, "Yeah, I got this happened to me, this happened to me, this happened to me," and women are like this, and women say, "Well, that's the woman that you date," and it's just like, see, that's that inner deep biological, like, hey, men have agency and women don't. We're just weak, and we're just the world happens to us. What men happen to the world, and the world happens to women. So as time goes on, you're going to have to change your perspective on what women can do in this life and how we see women, right? You're already programmed both DNA wise and, through growing up the way you were raised, that women don't have much agency, that the world happens to women, that they're constant victims of everything, right? The world is constantly trying to hurt them. But here in 2025, right, women are in charge because they have more agency than we do. They have more power, right? Because they're absolved of a lot of the consequences of their actions. They can get away with more. They have more sway. They get into places easier. They get presented more opportunities based on their sexuality, right? They have the backing of the law more than I do. They have the power to financially destroy you, emotionally destroy you, right? Because now that women have hyperabundance, she can replace you easily or take you less seriously. You're not as important to her, right? And that could be tough for a man, especially men that are uninitiated. Whether you're rich and making lots of money or broke and just starting out in life, whatever you are, female agency is really one of the scariest things to deal with because it just doesn't seem like it has any weakness at all. Zero. It's just like this monster that nothing we do can affect it. And it just keeps getting stronger. And instead of men fighting against it, they just join its cause, right? Which is feminism. So what do you do as an individual guy that's just trying to make it? That's just trying to come home on a Friday, crack open a beer, or, enjoy a nice quiet weekend at home or hang out with your friends, poker night, cigar night, watch an anime. How do you deal with this dragon, this monster with like 4 or 5 heads and 7 dicks and 13 arms, whatever it has? How do we deal with this? And this is important. Um, Really, the only weapon you have against uh women in terms of their behavior is all you can do is remove your time and attention, right? That's all you have. So in your personal life, if a woman is making you do something you don't want to do, or is acting crazy, or is doing something that you don't like, even though you explain it, right? Don't remove time and attention if you haven't specifically explained to your girlfriend or wife what what you what you don't like or you like, right? Don't That's kind of like more female behavior. However, if you've said before, like, hey, you did this thing I don't want you to do, and she does it anyway, time and attention. Hey, I told you not to do that. Well, okay, well, I'll talk to you later. and then stop texting, stop doing whatever. Goodbye. So, and a lot of women will give up and be like, hey, like, go come around. And someone will just never want to talk to you again. And now at least she doesn't like you anymore, right? Job's done. And that's in your relationships. Obviously, you have your assertive Bill of Rights, which everyone should know by now. And if not, go read the sidebar. This book is really the game changer in terms of relationships. Um, and also, you have your assertive strategies. Broken record. Uh, uh, what's the other one? Negative assertion, stuff like that. That will help you kind of like if you guys have a disagreement or something like that. Um, And then ultimately, yeah, walking away and removing time and attention is all you have, right? And that is in your individual level with your relationships in real life. On a giant level with just society, right? Whether you find yourself in a divorce court or at a job or whatever, you have to deal with female hyperagency, right? You have to deal with a boss that was promoted by another horny boss that wanted to be around her, and now you have to deal with a woman that's emotional or angry or something. And maybe you get lucky and she's competent, right? But you have to deal with these things. Or you have to deal with a family member, a female family member that keeps messing up or asking you for help because she herself can't do the things necessary, right? Like she doesn't do maintenance on her car, so you have to constantly help her with her car, right? Or she spends money on dumb stuff, so you have to give her money or something like that. We all have to deal with this, right? And men are the same too, sometimes. But the thing with men is that we're okay with letting them deal with their own issues. Like we're like, dumbass, like go. I'm tired of helping you, dude. But walking away from a woman is very hard, right? It's within our genetics to want to help women when they're in trouble. So, how do we deal with hyper female agency, the Cassie Venturas of the world that do crazy stuff and step away, are complicit in things, step away, and then to the world absolves them completely and tells them they're amazing and brave? How do we deal with this metaphorical stuff? First off, I would say stop treating women like they're children, right? Whether it be your career, your relationships, your even your mother, anyone, right? Stop treating women like they're children. That's not to say to treat them like a man, like you, right? We're different. Treat them like the most responsible teenager in the house, right? That means that they're able to make decisions. They're able to to come to a logical conclusion, right? It may be different because they're wired different, right? And also that also means like taking into account what they say sometimes. Like not everything a woman says is numb. Sometimes they say things that make sense, right? And also that you need to understand they're different, so they're going to speak and relate to you differently, right? Um, but that will help you a lot deal with female agency, right? Because now that you see women as responsible people that are, that prioritize emotions and how they feel a little bit, but are able to come to rational conclusions, then now you can you feel like you don't have to close the gap between you being adult with responsibilities and them being absolute child that can't handle anything, right? So, instead of thinking, oh, my wife didn't get her tire pressures matched today. It's a matter of time before a tire pops or something. Instead you're like, hey, did you go to the gas station last time you pumped gas? Did you match your tire pressures? Did you fix that? No. Oh, no, no. We're like, hey, you just tell, hey, I'm not gonna go in the middle of the night or wherever you're at, going to change your tire because you can't do basic tire maintenance. That's easy. Like you straight, like, hey, I'm not doing this. If it happens, don't care. Call somebody. I don't care. I told you. Right. And that's treating you like you would treat a teenage daughter or son that, has the ability to be smart and do things. You treat her the same. And sometimes you'll realize that you can even treat them like a full adult sometimes because some women just get it. Right. And that's step one is to start treating women like that. Um, Realize too, step two is realizing that there is no demographic of women. There is no traditional woman, liberal woman. There is no you know, black woman or white woman or Asian woman. It's all team women. Like I was saying before, right? If uh if the Austrian painter's wife and Anne Frank both survived and met each other, they would start a podcast where they would complain about the Austrian painter because there is no team. There is no Axis powers and allies. There is no teams with women. It is team women. That's it. Right. So when you're dealing with this, assume that women will come and defend each other. That it is what it is. That's who they are. No one's coming to defend you as a man unless it's your close circle. But for women, they're all going to defend each other because they see themselves in a girl like that. Right. Think you are given a superpower at 18 where that moves mountains. Old men are flying you and spending thousands of dollars on you, or they want to, right? Job opportunities given to you. Uh, Men want to sleep with you, and the best men on this planet will want to sleep with you. All these things. Do you guys not think that at some point you'll take that for granted as a woman and just make bad decisions based off the amount of power, right? Absolute power corrupts absolutely. Of course, right? So when they see this woman who did lots of mistakes, they see themselves in her because they themselves make a lot of mistakes because the amount of power they get when they're young is egregious. Like it's crazy. And now that she's going through this now, she's their hero. She's the new female hero today. And that's normal. I fully expect that because in women's mind, they see themselves through this woman. Like, hey, I also made a lot of bad decisions or in a bad place that I've refused to take any accountability in or reflect and be like, hey, he's a bad person, he's a monster, but like I could have walked out. And even if I was threatened, I have the whole legal system that would back me and protect me. I am famous to an extent, so I this case would have been blown wide open in front of the whole world. I could have saved other people from dealing with this, but no. I wanted money and power and fun. And now everyone is going to tell her she's brave. As a man, you don't get that treatment, right? So deep down, guys, female agency is difficult. It will be difficult forever. Every day you'll find out um some new thing that women did or talking about. They'll laugh and be like, men should do this, or I did this, and they'll go on TikToks, and all this is just a victory lap for feminism. It's just them saying like, I do this and men will take it and shut up and leave me alone, and I'll do whatever I want. And that could be tough because you just want to see reels about the gym or about your nerdy hobbies, but in there is sprinkled is women doing terrible things. I want you to know too, number 3 is that stop thinking that it's women that are terrible. Think of it like this. Terrible people are terrible. Bad people are bad people. It's not that it's women or men or this demographic or whatever. It's just that's now I'm not saying it's a form of accountability, right? But it's a form of organizing women in your head, right? And there are women that do bad things, but think of it like this. If they don't do a bad thing to you, then it's not your problem, right? I have female friends that when I go out salsa drinking, they give me a ride home. That's a good thing. They worry about me, right? They don't make a move on me and I don't make a move on them. And, you know, they don't have to do that. They do it out of the kindness of their heart. That is a good person to me. In her personal life, she may be playing men and ghosting men and wasting their money and whatever she's doing, right? But to me, she's nice, and that's all I care about in the moment. Um, there are women that genuinely have doxed me. That is a bad person. It's nothing to do with her being a woman. It's that you are a bad person. And if you start looking at it like that, it's easier to date too, because what happens is A lot of the bad things that people do, if you're a woman, men overlook it because, oh, she's just a girl, right? Like I dated a girl that I was falling in love with, and she wanted to be in a relationship with me, and she didn't pay her debt. She wouldn't pay her bills on time, her debt, and it just the interest got out of control. That's a bad thing to do. That's dumb. That's, pay your bills. Um, what do you want me to do? Get with a person that is financially responsible? That now you have to get a second job to pay off this debt, you know? And that's the thing here, right? Like I didn't judge her, oh, that she's a woman. Women do silly stuff like not pay their debt all the time. That's normal. Like no, that's how they get you. That's why the tradcons and the liberal women are the same. They both want the same thing, to infantilize women, let them do whatever they want all the time, and for us men to fix their problems when it's time. I'm like, no, I do not want to fix a woman's problems. And even if I love her. Now, if it's within reason, if it's like $3,000 debt, I'd be like, yeah, well, um, it's not a big deal, but this is going to be paid off. Like we're going to talk about your finances. I don't want to control your finances, but also I don't want to worry about them either. Right? I want you to be an adult and learn how to pay your stuff on time, live below your means like the rest of us. Because if not, I'm not going to date you, and that's it. And that's what you lay out. And if she opts in, then she opts in. If not, she's someone else's problem. That's simple. That's it. So yeah, start judging women by their actions, not by the fact that they're a woman. And you'll see that things will get better for you in terms of your dating and how you relate to women. You will be impressed when women do things that even your guy friends are fail. Like I know women that I dated a woman that started a symphony, organized a symphony, and logistically got it all together. She went on the news to talk about it here in Dallas. And I have friends that can't even organize dinner with the boys, or like going out. They can't. They literally can't open a group chat and be like, "Hey, this is the parking situation. This is what we're doing. This is the time we're showing up. Wear this." They can't do it. They just can't do it. But this girl fucking organized a symphony, right? Um, and if I would have just said, "Oh, she's a woman," um, she's then I would have it would have robbed me from being happy for her. So you don't want to be so critical of women that you can't and be actually impressed by the good parts of them, right? Think of it like this. Men and women make choices, and those choices affect others. And if those choices affect you negatively, then you're out. You're done. You don't have to take things because she's a woman. However, there are things that women aren't capable of doing, right? And that's because, or that they're not the best at. And that's just the way it is. Like, I cannot expect a girl to open a heavy valve or pick up something super heavy. Like, that's just, it is what it is. Like, I cannot expect that. And that's just, there's not her fault, right? Obviously, some girls are strong and can lift, but I was born with like what, 6 times, 5 times the strength of the average woman, right? So that's out of my control. But, a woman maybe should I'm not gonna maybe I don't wanna walk downstairs and parallel park the car for you. I think you can do that. It may take you a couple more times to get in and out, but I'm not here to do every little life task for you and all that stuff, right? But yeah, this is basically what the court case really boils down to. It's just female agency and how we deal with it, right? The epiphany phase, the fact that all her past is now affecting her future family, her kids, her unborn child, her husband, her extended family, her reputation, right? Um, obviously she's probably gonna have a podcast tour and make lots of money off that. It's just podcast tour is a new book tour, right? But um, let women fail ultimately, and that's the final point. Let women fail. Let women do things. It's not your problem. You don't have to worry about it, right? You don't have to defend them, and you can use ways to not have to deal with it on a societal level, right? This could be many ways, right? Like learn how to pay less taxes legally, right? Of course. This could be simply opt out of working any industry where women you have to work next to women, right? Cool. I have no problem working with women, but if you as a man can't deal with it, then don't. Um, get with a woman that's just as competent as you. It's hard, but like there's women out there that are very, very competent, and you'll be surprised how you thought you wanted beauty, uh, like you thought beauty was the most important thing and or the end all be all, but really is it's just a girl that you don't need to worry about, that can make her own coffee, that can parallel park, that is if she has errands to do, she can be like, "Hey, I'm sorry," or and doesn't need constant attention around the clock like a child. Like she can just get up and get things done. And then ultimately the highest sign of competence from a woman that I've seen, and this is hard for us men too, is communication. And not the communication where it's like, hey, communicate like me, a woman, and talk with feelings and all that. Like communication, like, hey, I want this from you. I'm a woman and I want this, like straight to you. And as a guy, we're just like, oh, is that what you wanted this whole time? Okay. A lot of the times, you guys will get in relationships and the girl will get like pissed at you and she'll sit down and just, oh, well, you're not doing this. And it would be a long argument because, as we know, whenever women argue, it's never about what they're arguing about at first. There's always something else. And that's why we say women are not great communicators. They suck. Because if they were, they would just tell us what was actually bothering them. But women, over time, you can kind of train your girlfriend, your wife to be like, hey, I understand you're feeling like this, but what's really going on, and actually get to the bottom of it faster. And that is the highest sign of competence for a woman that knows what she needs from you. A lot of times you'll start a conversation like, you'll be like, hey, do you want me to listen to you or do you want me to fix it? And she will then decide, hey, I want you to fix it. Okay, cool. What is it? Or, I want you to listen. I'm like, cool. All ears. I'm not going to provide any solutions. I just want to hear you out. It's not about the nail, right? So, yeah. Ultimately, that's all I have on this. Um, so, um, yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Not much to say about this, but guys, it's just a very interesting case. It's pretty sad. I really, I had a crush on this girl when I was a kid. I liked her music. I still have her music in my Spotify playlist. But women are women, right? You know, women will do or say anything, and and we believe it, and that's the problem here, right? So, anyways, guys, that's all I have. And I'll talk to you later.